question. What does a dingo farmer do?
So dingoes, I know you're thinking the dingo ate my baby, but
How do you know?
But I asked him if the dingo ate the baby, and he said no. But anyway, I was doing some freelance work in Australia while I was there with my husband, doing some field work, and so I was doing a lot of feature writing, and I found out through somebody in Australia that there's this dingo farmer, and he raises dingoes in the middle of nowhere. And I don't know how I didn't think I was that brave to just venture into the middle of nowhere to meet this dingo farmer who lived alone with 25 dogs, dingo dogs. Yeah. Dingoes, like dogs. But they were different dogs. They were very domesticated, and it was great. He was a wonderful source and wonderful interview, and I'll send you the article.
Yeah, I would love to read it. Quite fascinating.
Yeah. But he had an interesting story to tell, and everybody's got one.
Yeah. Yes. I just got one from you. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I like to ask people about if they ever had a sliding doors moment, where if they chose one path or the other, it would have made a difference in their lives, right? If you missed a train, or if you were able to get on that train and your life was drastically different. Do you have a sliding doors moment in your life that if you would have chosen a different path, that you would have lived a completely different life?
No, I mean, not in a completely different life way, but the decision to go from journalism sort of like to business and publishing was definitely, a moment for me, a choice, that I made to kind of give up reporting, not give up writing. I write a lot of memos and emails. But
so do I, and I'm not a journalist.
I'm making the decision to take on more of a business role and hang up the journalist, tag was definitely a big work in the room.
Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of people in our field and professionals who have started.
Yeah.
Because PR, even though it's been actively big for a while as far as the discipline of like big academic role. Hey, do you have any great advice you can give it, or any advice that you would give to others?
Yeah, well, a great bit of advice I got a while ago, like one of my first jobs, was to just shut up and listen. And it actually is a great tactic as a journalist, as a manager, as a negotiator, as in any kind of interpersonal communication, is the listening skills and to know when to be quiet. A lot is said just quiet sometimes. So that was a good. I guess I did need to shut up and listen a little early in my life. So that was a really good piece of advice.
Yeah, I mean, listening is such a core skill.
Yeah, it is.
Surprisingly.
I know. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to listen. I am a big Billy Joel fan.
Oh, did you see him?
I've seen him like 10 times.
Oh, you have?
In Madison Square Garden. I'm looking for other people that I can drag to see him because I've gone with everyone I know. So I'm a big Billy Joel fan. 80s. Yep. Yeah, on my serious, XM, it's the 80s. Yeah.
Doesn't it sound when they say something like classic rock and you turn it on, it's like 80s?
I know. Rock ages.
They're like, oh, that's not classic rock.
Classics.
60s, 70s.
Yeah.
So IPR, we launched a study this year looking at disinformation in society. And one of the issues that we found is that people had low levels of trust in companies, corporations, even PR professionals and CEOs. About 1 in 4 said they had only some trust. What are your thoughts about this? Have you seen anything in the landscape or in your experience with other organizations?
Yeah, definitely a serious issue. For communicators, I think it's a big challenge because there's a lot of disinformation, a lot of misinformation out there, and some of it is happening within their own organizations or to their own organizations. So really understanding the source of that disinformation and understanding sort of how to communicate out to the stakeholders is part of the communicator's job, right? But trusted news sources are more important than ever. I mean, coming from a background in media and former journalist myself, I mean, I think there's a resurgence of journalism in the New York Times, Washington Post, a lot of even CNN, other outlets. I mean, that's more important than ever. But trust will always be an issue. I think consumers are more skeptical than ever. Stakeholders are more skeptical than ever, and it's on the communicator to get the right story out and to get it accurate and to make sure and to double check with the media, to make sure that the media is fact checking and not to take anything for granted dealing with like the media and anyone telling your story. I was talking to somebody they asked me a similar question about the role of the communicator, and I sometimes feel like we take one step up and two steps back almost every day because in the media you'll see references that was a PR stunt or that was a public relations play. You know, like PR is bad. Right, yeah. You know, and I think that to get the trust of PR people, we've got to better advocate about PR, which is something that I think IPR does a great job of research and science behind what communicators do. We need to take it seriously because it is a serious discipline.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, even to that point, we ask people about PR professionals in the survey for the general public, and then my question was, what is even the perception of PR professionals in the general public?
Yeah.
When you watch it on television, you have like stand-up, too much Scandal, or even Flack, all these shows, it's not like people take actors.
They're just writing press releases and getting publicity.
Having the impact.
Right.
Ragan and IPR are partnering on a study looking at, I think one of the areas, social media managers. I just saw a research study presented that was so fascinating. It talked about work-life fit of specifically social media managers and people who oversee that, because it can be a 24/7 job, right, if something happens. And the work we're doing is looking at the career progression path of social media professionals through our digital media research center. Like, what are they doing? Are they doing strategy? Any thoughts about that in the study? I know you're really interested.
I'm very interested in that, and the story is it's a very amorphous topic right now, whether there really is a career trajectory, say that 3 times, career trajectory for social media professionals, or whether it's similar to like mobile marketing, where it's just, it's a tool that's used, it's not a strategy, social media necessarily. So is social media owned by the communications person, owned by the marketing person, and is the path where or is it a whole separate path toward like a social media, a chief digital director, chief social media director? So I think right now we're in this stage where that's all being defined. But anybody working in social media, it requires creativity and incredible discipline because it's nonstop. You can be working on it, and so I think the good social media communicators are the ones that know when to say no to certain social media platforms. You can't be everywhere, you shouldn't be everywhere, and then just a discipline to not always be on. So I'm looking forward to that study and to see, because we do hear from communicators whose role is primarily in social media, where am I going with this?
Yes.
Am I going in a marketing role, in a communications role? Can I carve out something within the organization? And that is to be determined. What are you reading?
Right now I'm reading How to Be an Anti-Racist.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm also sort of reading the new Harlan Coben mystery book too. And then after that, I have the new Stephen King, Waiting in Wings. So I've been reading a lot of books, like I read White Fragility and some of the other books that are recommended. And then so I my Stephen King's and my mystery books are sort of on hold, but I definitely need some sort of horror book. So is there any sort of activity or something you've learned or discovered in COVID, or any sort of lessons you've taken away from your time of reflection, of not going anywhere?
Well, I've discovered my kitchen and cooking and reading recipes. I really didn't like reading recipes. I was just sort of self-edited the way I cooked, but definitely in the kitchen more. I have more people expecting, to have meals at home. So I want to contribute in that way. So kitchen stuff, cooking. I've been spending a lot of time walking and listening to podcasts and discovering new areas of my neighborhood that I would never have gone through, and starting to see the same people out and about. So that's been really nice. But I've been taking some online classes that have been really interesting on topic of social justice and, communications. So just some online learning, and a lot of time with the dog.
I'm sure the dog is wondering what's going on.
Yeah, she's
too.
To me.
Any recommended podcast?
Yeah, a lot of the podcasts have been doing, a lot of them, the business and leadership podcasts have been about, working remotely, or, about the current pandemic. And the LinkedIn one, Reid Hoffman's podcast, I enjoy a lot. I like Oprah's podcast, sort of a guilty pleasure. NPR, I love all of their podcasts. Mm-hmm. And Katie Couric has another really good at-home podcast. It's been enjoyable. They're nice. Kind of on the serious side, my podcast, but
you have a lot of serious things going on between.
I know, you're reminding me.
And the vial, and
I am watching some less serious TV, so maybe that's...
Okay, give us some recs for your less serious TV.
Yeah, I recommend on Hulu, The Great, about Catherine the Great and Peter the Emperor, but it's a comedy. It's a dark comedy, and it's very enjoyable. And Rami, which is another good series, also on Hulu. So those have been the latest.
Nice. Okay, so Diane, tell us something that you missed doing pre-COVID.
Aside from seeing people outside of my family, guilty pleasure is I miss massages. I have a subscription to, a membership at a massage place, and they've opened up again, but I just can't see myself getting a massage and wearing a mask, and it's just not worth the risk. But I do miss that little guilty pleasure, but it'll come back one day.
Come back one day.
Yeah.
One day. Right. Well, how are you doing with it all?
We're getting a lot of value out of our home, right now. It's been, I've been feeling very fortunate, to be healthy. All of our family members we're here, we're back together, our 2 kids, my husband, our dog. So there's something, that's found time we'll never get. I mean, that was like a gift. On the other hand, it's so uncertain, and I think we're in this for, I think at least a year of kind of crisis mode as a country.
Yes. I think we're going to see a lot of long-term impact.
Thank you for watching this episode of In a Car with IPR. Want to make a tax-deductible contribution to support this series and fund research in the profession? Please visit us at instituteforpr.org/contribute.